Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Browns Jets postgame show brought to you by your good friends, Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. You come here for truth. I mean, let's be honest about this. This show wouldn't be getting like 1,000 views between the halftime and postgame report with no publicity unless you were seeking some measure of truth. So I'll give you the extension of what I was talking about at halftime. Obviously, they'd seen enough of Deshaun Kaiser too. The difference between what I believe and what management believes is that I would never play Deshaun Kaiser again. I don't think he's capable. I don't think he'll ever be capable. And I know what we're going to get. We're going to get a situation where the head coach insists that no, this is no indictment of Deshaun Kaiser, and he'll be the starter next week, blah, blah, blah. And that's what we're going to get. And if it were me, I don't want to see him anymore, because let's look at this truthfully, all right? And please, I'm not going to make any jokes. I'm not going to make any racial references, because God only knows it's sensitive enough in this damn country as it is that everybody's apologizing for taking a shit these days. And I don't apologize for anything that I say that is true. So I'm going to stick to just truths. Kevin Hogan is not a guy who should walk out onto the field without ever practicing with the first unit and look better than your future franchise quarterback, who's had all of the reps with the first team. Kevin Hogan should not be able to distribute the ball to more wide receivers than your future franchise quarterback. He shouldn't be able to see the field better than. He shouldn't be able to get rid of the ball quicker than. He shouldn't be more accurate than. But he is. Now, who does Kevin Hogan remind me of? Maybe a young Josh McCown. I think that Kevin Hogan might be a guy who has a career as a backup quarterback in the NFL. God only knows that Brian Hoyer has had a long career than Kevin Hogan could too. I don't think that he's any kind of long-term answer. But what I do believe is that Deshaun Kaiser is a negative force. He is a morale destroyer. And that Kevin Hogan should be the starting quarterback. Cody Kessler should be the backup quarterback. Deshaun Kaiser should not play anymore. All right? And it isn't about confidence. It's about skill set. If a guy who's never played with the ones before keeps coming out on the field and moving the team, not that he's perfect. He's not playing for a perfect team, God only knows. But if he can actually move the offense with some tempo, that he can actually make a quick enough decision to throw the ball to people in the right places on the field without being late. Now, the funny thing is, they all talk about Kaiser's arm strength, but the ball's getting there late consistently because of the mental process. And look, I don't want to get into the discussion of smarter, dumber, this or that. I don't even want to get into that. It's about a skill set that's unique to NFL quarterbacks. The ability to quickly read the field and to decisively throw to a target and being able to hit that target is what we're talking about. And Kevin Hogan is better than Deshaun Kaiser. And so is Cody Kessler. Arm strength be damned. It doesn't matter how strong your arm is if you can't hit your target, or your timing is off, or your decision-making is bad. All right, so that's the first thing. But the next thing I'm going to say is going to be the topper of all toppers. All right. You can look at what happened in this football game on 4th down with a chance to tie the game 10-10. And you can analyze it, I suppose, in different ways. I'm going to analyze it for you two different ways. But both call for the end of Hugh Jackson in Cleveland. Let me explain. And it's disturbing because I don't like to fire people. My background was never to just fire people indiscriminately. This guy is begging to be fired. He's 1-20 and he wants out. He's making erratic decisions. But let's look at it from two different perspectives, okay? The first one is you hold your head and say, how in the hell, when we were on the 3-yard line in a previous possession, when he tries an ill-conceived option play, how does he on 4th down, needing 2 yards, just run the ball up the middle with a slow running back behind a questionable offensive line that hasn't been able to push anyone back all year? How does that decision get made? So I'll analyze it if I can. You have no faith in your receivers. You have no faith in the backup quarterback who's moving the football. So you take the ball out of those people's hands. And instead, you hand the ball off up the middle in an unimaginative play call in an attempt to get 2 yards on a dive play. All right? Hugh Jackson doesn't believe in anybody out there. Doesn't believe in his receivers, doesn't believe in his quarterback. And now, of course, he doesn't believe in his offensive line. Right? And, of course, to start the whole thing off, he doesn't believe in his kicker. Right? This is a young kid. He's 0 for 3, but 2 of the misses were over 50 yards. The 39-yarder, yeah, that was a hook, and it's not good. Kid's off to a bad start. The team's off to a bad start. He was the best kicker in college football. There's a lot of morale problems on this team. And Hugh Jackson is the single biggest cause of the morale problems, with the front office being the second one. But let's analyze it a different way. If you're just holding your head or holding your nose and saying that was a lousy play call, I have something far more damning than that. And this is what people in the press won't ask him in his press conference, but I'm going to bring up over the air here. If you were going to go for it on 4th down, why? I mean, you're in the helmet of your quarterback. You have to have a play ready. You don't have to call the timeout, or you make the decision that you're going to go for it, and then you call a timeout and you set your play up with your troops, right? That's not what happened. The kicker was sent out on the field and was lined up ready to kick the game-tying field goal. And Hugh, at the last second, goes running down the sidelines calling timeout, timeout, timeout. Like a light bulb went off in his head. Like, wait a minute, I got a better idea than this, which turned out to be a dive play on 4th down, right? At halftime, the female field reporter, pardon me, I don't know her name, and I'm not genderizing her, so you don't get offended, reported that Hugh Jackson said, we're going to go for it more on 4th down because the kid can't kick, basically. All right? My question is this. Why would you send him out on the field in the first place? There's only 2 explanations. One is that you're trying to humiliate the young man in front of what's left of the home crowd to rub salt in the wound and the fact that he's missed his first 3 professional field goals. That's the first thing. And that ain't good, because that is morale crushing for that player. You could have easily made the decision not to send him out. You got to go for it on 4th down. I'm going to, that's that. But it's almost like Hugh, words come out of Hugh's mouth and he doesn't think about them. And when you tell a sideline reporter that we're going to go for it on 4th down because the guy can't kick, and then suddenly you can tie the game up in the 4th quarter with only 12 minutes left to go in the game, and you think to yourself, oh, shit, I told them that we were going to go for it on fourth down. If I don't go for it now, I'm going to look like a fucking liar. Then at the last minute, you go, timeout, timeout, timeout. Because you have to do what you said you were going to do. Classic case of Hugh's mouth getting him in trouble. But there's yet another way of looking at this. What if Hugh was going to kick the field goal and second-guessed himself? Which is the only other explanation why you would send the kicker out onto the field and line him up to kick the tying field goal, and then suddenly go running down the sidelines calling timeout. The only reason you would do that is because you'd second-guessed yourself. And the reason is because you're not sure. No leader of men will second-guess themselves in the middle of a battle. It doesn't work that way. You devise a game plan, a strategy. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But in my mind, Hugh Jackson second-guessed himself, or out of cruelty, humiliated a young man. Now, it's no coincidence what happened after that. I mean, if you're the defense sitting on the sidelines and you've played a whale of a football game, and it all crescendos out with an opportunity that you can tie the game, and the defense can get its confidence by the coach going to the defense and saying, okay, guys, now go out and win this one. Get that stop that we need, man. We'll get the ball back and we'll punch it in, damn it. That's positive motivation, positive reinforcement. Instead, Hugh Jackson doesn't believe in his defense either. Instead of, what team doesn't tie the game in their home stadium with 12 minutes left in the game? Somebody who basically says, I don't even believe the defense is going to be able to stop the New York Jets, even though they've done so for 3+ quarters. I don't think they're going to do it. He doesn't believe in his own defense, doesn't believe in Greg Williams. He doesn't believe in Kevin Hogan. He doesn't believe in Gonzalez. He doesn't believe in anybody. And he has motivation now to make these horrible calls because I think subconsciously he wants to be fired. I think there's such a thing as committing suicide professionally. I think Hugh Jackson would go crawling back to Cincinnati for that offensive coordinator's job with Marvin Lewis in a heartbeat right now. I believe he wants out. That is what I believe. Because when I see people making decisions like this that are clearly not in the best interest of anybody, it's subterfuge. And that's the worst thing I can think of as a property in a head coach, is working at cross purposes with winning. Now, what happens after that, of course, is what happens after that. The defense collapses and allows, for the first time, them to just go the length, basically, of the field. Score. No pressure on the quarterback, no blitzes, no nothing. Is that Greg Williams' answer to Hugh Jackson? Fine. You don't believe in the defense? We'll go into a prevent. No, we won't blitz. I don't know, but something's wrong. Something's really wrong as far as the way different pieces of management, the coaching staff works together. There's something really missing here. And in the end, it's not like there's nothing life-affirming about this for anybody playing the game. It's bad enough the game kills you when you're 57 years of age. That's bad enough, but shit, there's nothing worse than not being given a chance to win. Nothing worse than that. For the head coach to basically stand up to his kicker and say, I don't believe in you, to say to Kevin Hogan, it's 4th down and 2. I don't trust you to get the ball in the end zone and throw the ball somewhere. I trust Deshaun Kaiser to throw interceptions and lateral balls to hell. I trust him. I don't trust you, Kevin Hogan, even though you're the only one putting the ball in the end zone. Don't trust David Njoku to make a big play, even though he's caught 3 touchdown passes this year, and we've barely scored that many the whole season. Don't trust him. So what we do is we just hand the ball off up the middle and destroy ourselves. And you don't believe in the defense because tying the game up would be a vote of confidence for your defense. All in all, you can talk about a lack of talent, a lack of speed, but honestly, folks, if you played for this team, if you were a player on this team after what you just saw today, would you want to play? Would you give a full effort? Or would you be more prone to just collect your paycheck and move on? Have you ever worked for an asshole before? No, I'm asking this not in a joking way, but in a serious way. Have you ever worked in a job where the guy directly above you, your manager, was just a total dick, made your life miserable, that he had it out for you, that he was only interested in himself and how good he could make himself look to management, and that meant finger pointing, and that meant making you look bad? Did you want to get up in the morning and go to work for a prick like that? I've worked for more than my fair share of pricks. And I can tell you, when I became my own boss, I was a better guy because I worked harder because I had to. It was my money. It was my family's money, all on the line, man. I had to do it. But for a dick, for an asshole, fuck. You don't let me win, and I lose interest. And then I'm looking for another job, and I'm not paying attention to all the things I'm supposed to be paying attention to at work. And that's what we're seeing with the Cleveland Browns. They shouldn't have been 0-16 this year, which they will be. They shouldn't have been. And you can see how the decisions that are being made, not only by the front office of the organization, but the head coach specifically, how these decisions lead down the 0-16 road. Now, what I'll say to you is, I'm not going to do what I did last year. I'm never going to do that again. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to say I'm giving up the show. I'm not going to do that. Because if you're watching this, and you guys are, if you're listening to this and it has some meaning or it resonates in some way to you, then you're a good fan. You're still interested. You're still involved. You know, if you walk away like I did last year, and I was wrong for doing it, man. I was wrong for doing it. If you're walking away, that it just means you don't have the love anymore. No, I'm not going to blame you if you don't have the love anymore, you know? I get it completely. But everybody, the thousands of people watching this show, which is amazing to me that I'm sitting here looking at the numbers coming back week after week, and I'm saying, you know, there are still people out there who care, so God damn it, I care. It's the same way with the football team, guys and gals. If they saw that somebody gave a damn, that somebody was really making decisions to try to win out there, they'd be trying harder. That's why I'm trying harder this year, because you guys care. And as a fan base, we keep this dream alive. Even if it looks like it died a decade or more ago, we try to keep the dream alive. We want our team not to quit. We can't quit either. There are some bright spots in all of this. Njoku looks like a guy who can play. He's young, but he's got hands. That's good. Kason Williams comes down with the ball. That's good. You know, I beyond this, Duke Johnson, given an open field, does more damage than Isaiah Crowell, but Crowell is being used in the wrong running scheme. We saw him most effective in Shanahan's running scheme in his own read. Not effective in this offense. It's obvious. He doesn't have enough burst to get through the marginal holes that there are. Duke Johnson is better in the passing game than he is in the running game, but he's actually better per carry in the running game than Crowell is. He's just not very durable, and we can't afford to run him into the interior of the line that much, or else he's going to get hurt. Somebody asked me at halftime, what's on the smoker? It's a butt roast, pork butt. All right. It's going to get a 10-hour smoke today, baby. That's going to be some good eats. I'll take some pictures and put them up on Twitter later before we consume it. Obviously Myles Garrett was not healthy. You saw him pull up and kind of limp a little bit, but boy, he looked explosive on a couple plays that he made. He got 2 sacks. Good for him. All right, that's a positive. Our defense against a run offense that isn't very good was very good today. Very consistent. And some good one-on-one defending by Jamar Taylor. That was real good. Real good. Some plays that were made. McCourty made a nice pick. We got some turnover action. We stopped the ball behind the line of scrimmage. We got penetration from our defensive line. That's positive stuff. If we had not played Kaiser, we would have had 21 points to 24 points in this game. That's fact. That's enough to win. It isn't that we didn't move the ball. It's not that we didn't get enough yardage to win. It's that we committed suicide in the process. I don't buy inexperienced young quarterback thing. I believe either up to the job or not up to the job. I mean, you could sit there and say maybe he's undisciplined or maybe, and that's not the case with Sean Kaiser. I mean, he's obviously, from all accounts, he's a disciplined kid. He just lacks the skill. I mean, not going to sit there and insult him. He simply lacks the skill to play the position. Let's go into the chat room and see who's visiting and knocking on Mr. Moohead's door. I see, I'm sorry, but my site is kind of, there we go. DP Joe 6, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, Joe Askew fan. Isn't that something? Wable and Big Lurker UK, General Dog, Pit Bulldog. Hey there, Tom H, Arbus, Scott. How you guys doing? Trying to load up the chat room, which is not loading up for Mr. Moohead right now. It's just showing a blank screen. I like to go to comments when people take the time to make okay, here we go. And they're up now. Pit Bulldog, Hollywood Hogan had better start next week. Well, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Today is a day like every coach since 99 that Hugh jumped the shark. That's DP Joe 6. Yeah, I think it's not so much jumping the shark. I think that he is simply showing the true colors. I think that this is who he is, and he wants out. That's what I believe. I believe it's just becoming more obvious that that's the case. Pit Bulldog, Garrett and Duke are our only difference makers. Well, Njoku is a difference maker today. If Myles Garrett can stay healthy, he can change the defense, General Dog. Well, I'll tell you, it sure as hell helped Emmanuel Ogbah look a damn sight better, didn't it? Because he had a good game too, and he stood out. Tom H says, Garrett is the linchpin to all the other defensive position groups. I can't really argue with that. His presence affects everybody. General Dog says, no talented quarterback misses wide open receivers and throws the ball 6 yards off target. Correct. The Tom H, Kaiser equals inaccurate, slow eyes. Correct. He does not identify quickly. Hey, Scott in Greenville, South Carolina. Scott, do I know you? You're just down the road from me, buddy. Tell me, what are you doing in Greenville, South Carolina? I live up here in the mountains in the foothills. That's awesome. Maybe there's going to be somebody when I walk the streets of Greenville who's going to recognize me. That has yet to happen. Happens to Bruce Drennan all the time. You see him walking into a Home Depot and you say, "Hey, Bruce," he goes, leave me alone. I'm going to the hardware store. All right. All right, let's see what else people are saying. Pitbull dog is mooing at me. That's nice. The Tom H. Hogan is not the sexy quarterback. All he does is move the chains and score points. Exactly. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Are you worried about losing Williams and having a bunch of niche players tailored to his scheme so the next guy will have to replace all these young players? And that's a good question to ask of Hugh. I don't know. Obviously, Hugh feels something breathing down his neck, doesn't he? Question: why did Hogan throw that ball up for grabs? Well, he had somebody bearing down on him who was unblocked, and he wanted the receiver to come down with the ball. Maybe he forgot he was throwing to Ricardo Lewis, but the ball was behind him. But everything that Ricardo gets his hands on, he has the anti-Midas touch. It turns to 10, and it was tipped and intercepted, but the ball was off target. But he was under duress. I didn't say that Kevin Hogan was the future franchise quarterback. I'm simply pointing out he's better than Deshaun Kaiser, who would have not only eaten the sack because he wouldn't have gotten rid of the ball, he would have fumbled it and they would have run it in for a touchdown. That's the difference there. Hogan has that Owen Marisic look to him, but I like him. Owen couldn't catch the ball. Never heard from him again, did you? Oh, no, he doesn't know me, Scott, but you mentioned the Swamp Rabbit Trail last week, and I live in Simpsonville. Da, 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 da. Oh, not that Simpsonville. All right. Pit Bulldog, God damn it, I'm so hilariously depressed right now. It is. It's kind of like, it's like inhaling helium, isn't it? Hugh, Kaiser was exceptional on the sidelines. Exactly. That's what we're going to hear, right? Somebody's asked me if I'm attending Bob Jones University. Why would I want to learn how to fuck animals? Okay, I said nothing political. After this, go listen to the Hugh postgame presser. Unbelievable. Oh, no, I was that... You mean Kaiser was exceptional on the sidelines? Was an actual quote, Tom? Are you fucking kidding me? He's going to be the starter again next week, and he's going to be harder to get rid of than a case of herpes. And this is what tempts us to quit. I mean, realistically, that was an actual quote. Unbe-fucking-lievable. He's a leader of men on the sidelines. We actually gained by taking him out of the game. I mean, it's unbelievable. You see, and this is what we're seeing about Hugh Jackson. It's his ego. It is his ego. I'm not going to get political, but I will start calling him Black Trump. Because the insensitivity of humiliating a rookie kicker who was 0 for 3 in his first field goal attempts when 2 of them were from outside 50 yards, that he was little enough to let that kid trot out on the field only to call him back, that is mean-spirited. It's not enough that you tell a sideline reporter, we're not going to let him kick, but you got to let him run out on the field. Here's some more quotes coming from Tom. It wasn't about play calling. It was execution. Well, just throw your team under the bus. That's unreal. A run to your slowest running back up the middle with a chance to tie the game and kick the ball and get the defense back on the field and blitz and be aggressive. Hugh is showing anger for the first time during his happy smiling pressers. He should be terminated. Plain and simple, this is what he wants. He's an egomaniac. You see, this is all about him. This is why I call him Black Trump. Only Trump himself could actually say that he was offering the Puerto Ricans soft towels or talking about the size of a crowd when he's attending a site of a natural disaster. If it's about you, it's a problem. And it's still, and I'll say Hillary Clinton too. If that bitch is still talking about what happened back in November, it's all about her, isn't it? It isn't about us. It isn't about the country. And I just, Faithful Servant is on YouTube saying, defraud Kaiser is just awful. What a waste of a high draft pick. Shaking my damn head. Correct. But it's about Hugh Jackson's ego. He's the horse whisperer, remember? I can turn this guy into a great quarterback. No, you can't. You cannot. Here's another quote. I had hoped it hadn't gotten to this. Fuck Hugh writes that I'm in favor of his execution. I think everybody is at this point. It's obvious that it's his ego that won't let go. He insists that he can be the one who can make DeShone Kizer into something, but you can't. He can't throw the ball straight. He's not qualified. Just because you have the blessing of a head coach doesn't mean that you're qualified for the job. When the backup guy who's had no time with the ones looks better in every aspect of the game, boy, that's a bad sign. You ask any player in that locker room, who they believe gives them a better chance to win, and they will all say Kevin Hogan, except that they'll be afraid to say it because Hugh Jackson's ego will bench them. Wow. Unbelievable. Brutal press conference, Tom says. The part about Williams was from me, but in quotes from Hugh. Yep. It's a mess, and it's going to become more of a mess. And I don't want to hear from DeShone Kizer. I don't want, look, why humiliate these guys? I mean, the guy isn't good enough. All right. At any rate, let's be done with this. I think that I've made my point. I said at the end of the halftime show, the first thing I do would be to sit down DeShone Kizer. He's the third string quarterback. It would be Hogan and Kessler. That's the way we play for the rest of the season. Next, I'd get rid of Hugh. Get rid of him because he obviously was instrumental in bringing Kizer here, and he convinced somebody that he could turn him into a winner, and he can't. All right? And it isn't because he doesn't have time to throw the football. He doesn't read the field fast enough, and he eats the ball. He's indecisive. He looks scared. He looks confused, and it's not going to work. So Tom is saying, what would you like to do from here, Moo? Because if Greg Williams became the head coach, no, I would not make him the head coach. He's a defensive coordinator. That's his job. I don't know. As far as the coaching position, I'm not sure what I would do. But I think that if a person is humiliating players and throwing his guys under the bus and defending his own lousy play calling, if you can defend the fact that you have no confidence, and the thing is, it's erratic. Third down with 3 yards to get, you don't run the ball twice because you don't believe in the offensive line. You instead run some gadget play that's a pitch that ends up getting fumbled. Yet you come back later in the game, run the ball up the middle with the game on the line on fourth down. It to me is erratic. The decisions, it's like from a multiple personality guy, The reason that Hugh got shit canned in Oakland, Tom, was because he was in a battle with management because he's got a massive ego. He learned nothing. And, he figured I'm coming to Cleveland, which is a losing organization, and I can get away with doing whatever I want to do. And it's a bad, unhealthy situation. Overall, I wish it was better news that I could give you folks. But these are the things that immediately I would do. And you have to get rid of the negative influences before you can get things turned around. You got to get rid of the people who are bringing the level down. And we talk about front office people making bad draft decisions, but they weren't the only ones. I mean, you got to remember, Hugh told us that he could make Kessler into a quarterback. Now he's deactivated every week. Trust me on this one. That was what Hugh said, right? And now Kaiser's a real deal. Hugh can't make any of these guys better than what they are, really. It's one thing to have the ability and to be able to bring out more, but if you don't have the requisite skill set, there's nothing that Hugh Jackson's going to do for DeShone Kizer. He's just a bust. I'm going to say something else before I go. I've seen a lot of bad quarterbacks. Charlie Fry had no arm. Brandon Whedon had no brain. DeShone Kizer is probably one of the 3 worst quarterbacks since the return of the franchise that this team has had. And it's not based on arm strength. It's based on his inability to see the field. Did you see earlier in the game, he missed a guy, Njoku, wide open in the end zone. He just doesn't see. He starts scrambling before he even looks down the field. He's got slow eyes. That was a good comment in the chat room. He doesn't analyze what's happening in real time on the field. It's just a bad situation. Move on. You got 2 quarterbacks who can play. And look, I mean, Kessler will complete those short passes that Kizer will not complete. And Hogan, can get the ball downfield better. You got 2 to pick from. Go with those 2 guys and just let the mistake sit. That's not going to happen until Hugh's gone, because any other person who came in to assess this situation would see that Kizer is clearly behind the other 2. Thanks a lot for tuning in for this post-game show. Back again. Now, tomorrow is going to be interesting because I have a dental procedure at 1:30. I'm going to try to make the show tomorrow at 6 o'clock, okay? The regular Moohead Radio show at 6 o'clock. So if there's any changes, you'll be notified on Twitter. Thanks so much for tuning in. Sorry for the loss, folks. 17-14. Go Tribe. The Indians playing tonight. Let's put those Yankees away. Put it on the board. Yeah. Oh, wrong team. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.